One of the major things that turns people off is a certain attitude known as arrogance. And that's why he never got anything done. Not the things that he promised to do, like many of them that come to office. They make all these promises that they can't keep. And it only hurts their image later on after they're elected. But yeah, it's kind of a shame. It's because their whole reputation is staked on fulfilling those promises, and that's all they try to do throughout their 4-year term. Is they try to fulfill their promises, and maybe one or two is achieved, but the rest of them go by the wayside because the rest of the members of government, the three-sided system, the House and the Senate, they don't really like to deal with heads, leaders that are arrogant, and they like people who are cooperative and who work well as a team, who aren't puffed up on themselves, and who don't make vain and empty promises that are only for the sake of getting elected and voted for. They want someone who's real and someone who's authentic and someone who is a team player, not some arrogant bastard. Not some arrogant bastard, but someone who is really concerned about fixing problems and patching up gaps and improving on legislation or whatever to make it more easier on the citizens, to make things more effective for more efficiency and more. Wow, it's really amazing. It's really amazing to see all these people growing up from being children to being childs, little boys and girls, and making it through their teenage years and becoming young adults and even middle-aged. I never thought I would be settled down enough to, in one area, seeing the progressiveness of my neighbors. Even I never thought I've never been domesticated. Usually I'm all over the place in terms of residence and employment, and I'm not really what you would consider. I wasn't really what you would consider a domesticated person. I used to travel a lot and get around and have different places to live at. Have a whole different assortment of friends. Not completely ignoring the ones that I grew up with, but I was always making new friends and meeting new people and being in new areas. So this is the first time in my life where I've actually settled down for over 20 years. 30 years, actually. Usually my first 30 years was, I was all over the place, with work and with my places of staying. So yeah. So I don't know if I'll ever go back to being less domesticated. There's pros and cons on both, being domesticated and being non-domesticated. Yeah, yeah, routine. Some people really prefer to have a routine lifestyle where you do the same thing every single day, throughout the week, throughout the months, throughout the years, doing the same routine, following the same, systematic way of doing things. It does get kind of old, kind of boring. And sometimes even, I don't know if people ever decide to break away from that and do something different, something new. Some people, as you know, have more difficulties with that, especially with those of, not to be sexist or anything, but usually the females aren't so privy to change. They like stability and security. Or I myself, I can pick up and leave and do this or that, and go here or go there. It doesn't matter. I don't feel like I'm locked down to anything. But marriage and having a family kind of changes all that. You have to be settled in and stay put. But yeah, so I don't mind either or. I can take it this way or that way. I can be domesticated or undomesticated at any given time. And but I know that the right thing to do is to stay domesticated, because it's a contract with God. Being a married and family man, it is a divine covenant that you have to keep according to the ancient ways of man given by the Creator. Yeah, as I was saying earlier about living a domesticated life, well, it's not just that. It's not just being committed to a certain traditional way of life, but it's also arrogance, it's pride, and depravity, which I was full of in my teenage years and my early 20s. And I made some bad decisions, and I got married when I was 23, and I was still pretty young, and so I wasn't really tempered, or I wasn't really sound in some of my judgments, because I got married and I got divorced. The whole thing was premised on a lie, Even so, the circumstances certainly weren't ordained by God, but my own flesh, maybe even of a spiritual nature, if you believe in divine spirits, good and bad. But yeah, so I would I go back and try to fix it and do it all over again? I suppose if I could, but then who knows how my life would have developed if I had that opportunity. I might be in a totally different place, if I would be in a place at all. I certainly would not just live for reckless and sinful pleasure. I would do things God's way. I would follow God's order and His plan. I wouldn't be just following the dictates of my own heart. I would definitely be of sound mind and a tempered soul, and make some good, be a good reason. And I believe then that that marriage would have been successful and it would have prospered. But now hindsight's 2020. Looking back on it, I was just still a kid, pretty much, young adult, not settled in my ways, not settled, or not. I shouldn't have been settled in my own ways. I should have been settled in God's ways.